So you're interested in using Home Assistant for the first time. I'm Matt from Automation Fixation, and today I'm going to take you through the basics of Home Assistant in 2022. This is the updated version of my previous video, as quite a lot has changed. For those not familiar with Home Assistant, the software that allows you to bring various different technologies and automation ecosystems together and create rules such as automations, scripts, and notifications on your PC or mobile device. You can also integrate Home Assistant with your smart speaker, such as Google Home, and this will allow you to control devices that are not normally supported. The great thing about Home Assistant is that it is community driven, and as you can see on the screen, there are many devices currently supported, and many continue to be added. Now, I do want to be honest, while Home Assistant is really quite simple and great for those who want to automate their home, you will have times of frustration and definitely plenty of debugging, so be prepared to troubleshoot on occasions. Now, that aside, this video is going to go through installing Home Assistant, a basic install from scratch on a Raspberry Pi, understanding add-ons and the top recommended add-ons, so making use of the community and some of the great add-ons that are out there, and adding devices, so installing an example device for each installation type. Alright, let's get started.
What you'll need is a Raspberry Pi. A Pi 4 or Pi 3 is fine. You'll need a power supply with sufficient power to avoid stability issues, and a cable to connect to the Pi. You'll need a micro SD card. Greater than 32 gigabytes is recommended. An SD card reader, and finally an Ethernet cable. Wi-Fi is no longer recommended for installation. First of all, make your way to the Home Assistant website. Click Getting Started, Installation, and then Raspberry Pi. Install the latest version of Etcher. Etcher is software to allow you to flash the HAS.io files to your memory card. Once installed, find the URL that's relevant to your Pi. Since I've got the Pi 3 Model B, I'm selecting this image. Simply paste the URL and follow the prompts to flash the card. The Wi-Fi steps have been removed as they're no longer recommended by Home Assistant. The best way is through wired Ethernet. Home Assistant will take some time to initialize and will be available at homeassistant.local, port 8123. Keep refreshing until you're greeted by this blue loading screen. Now, if you can't access the address, then you may need to refer to your router to find the specific IP address. It takes roughly 10 to 20 minutes, so I'll skip through to the initial account creation. Put in your name, username, and password. Home Assistant can detect your location details and set up for the correct time zone. Select Next, Next, and Finish. Once complete, you'll be greeted with the main overview screen, which is where you'll configure your cards and screens for different automations. There are other tabs on the sidebar on the left, including Energy, for those using smart electricity monitors, a map for viewing devices sharing location in the Home Assistant app, a logbook to view logs generated for Home Assistant, history to view historical views of those logs, and media for accessing installed media sources. There are some more system-based options such as developer tools to check and restart certain configurations, the settings to manage add-ons, users, and updates, and finally the notifications for when there are new devices or important system messages. Let's find out more about add-ons and install some of the most common and useful add-ons. The Addon Store has official add-ons and also many community contributions. One of the first add-ons that you'll need is the Samba Share. This will allow you to view important files through Windows Explorer. Click on Install to install it. Once installed, click Start and you'll be prompted to configure your username and password to connect into the device. I'd recommend having a password here, as this will be opening the device on your network and they may allow access to sensitive passwords within your configurations. Click Save and then Start again. Once you've started the add-on, you will now be able to go to Windows Explorer and connect directly into the Home Assistant configuration files. Use the same address or IP address from the browser, and then use the username and password that you specified in the configuration. The key configuration files will be in the config share. Configuration.yaml, this is the file which will likely use the most to add in any additional components or configurations. You also have your automations, scripts, and scenes files, which will be populated after you start creating your automations. You can edit them here directly or through the Home Assistant web interface. While you saw that I could edit through Windows Explorer, another useful add-on to edit configurations directly from the browser is the Visual Studio Code Server add-on. Search for it and install. Once installed, start the add-on and make it visible from the sidebar. A new option on the sidebar will appear, and once you click on it, Visual Studio will open to allow you to edit all the key configuration files. These are the same files that we saw from Windows Explorer. The final recommended add-on is the MQTT Mosquito Broker. This is very useful to have local MQTT functionality for better control over your devices within your network. After installing, click Start. This takes a little bit more effort to set up, and first you'll need to create a separate user account for MQTT. And to do this, go to Settings, People, and create an account such as MQTT User. You'll need to select Allow Login to be able to set a password. And you can further restrict this account to only allow login from the local network. If you want to lock down the account further, you can remove login ability afterwards, and MQTT still will work. You now need to configure the MQTT integration. So navigate to Settings, Devices and Services, and then select the Configure button under MQTT. Follow the prompts to initialize, select Configure again, and then under Settings, enter the MQTT username and password that was just created. Now let's add some devices. There are three main ways to add devices: automatic discovery, installing through the user interface, or manual installation. For automatic discovery, go to Settings, and then Devices and Services. Home Assistant has picked up that I have an Epson printer on my network and shows on the screen. Click Configure and follow the prompts to select which area the device is located. Once added, the device will now be visible in the overview screen. Next, we'll be showing you how to install a device or platform integration through the user interface. Go back to Settings and Device and Services. Select Add Integration in the bottom right. For this example, I'm going to add my Ring doorbell. Search for the device or platform and select it. Enter in the associated account details, including two-factor authentication if this has been enabled. Select the area where the device is located, and then Finish. If you need to create an area, select Add a new area and then Add. The Ring integration is now visible in the integration scene. If you go to the overview screen, you can now see the last image on the camera and key details on last ding and motion. The final example is a manually added device. This may be due to it not being supported, or in the case that I'm about to show you, you want to add it through MQTT. We can use Studio Code Server to edit our configuration file and add in the details. In this example, I'm adding a switch, which is on the MQTT platform. Now that we've updated the configuration file, navigate to the Developer Tools screen. Check that the changes we made are valid, and then if all is well, restart the configuration. Click Restart to restart Home Assistant. It'll take a little while to reload, but once it's restarted, you should be able to go back to the overview screen and see the device that you've just added. I can see my switch called Coffee Machine, and I can turn it off and on. If I look directly at the UI for my switch, I can see that Home Assistant is detecting when it turns off and on.
Here are some examples of automations that you can use with Home Assistant, from lights, cameras, media, heating and cooling control, to even monitoring energy distribution. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you've got a question or an idea, please leave a comment. Good luck automating.